Well, folks, while the big boys were playing their game, getting us all hopped up about media contracts and whatnot with USC and UCLA moving to the Big Ten, Conference USA slowly was working in the background and enacting their plan. Rumors on Friday from Pete Thamel shared that Kennesaw State emerged as the favorite to become Conference USA's 10th member. Now, of course, kind of cracks me up because this is still conjecture, right? One thing we know about conference realignment is that rumors tend to be rumors until they're final. But let's face it, the whole sports media industry complex is based on rumors and speculation, so why don't we do it for ourselves as well? If the rumors are true and Conference USA is looking at Kennesaw State, that would make a lot of sense. And it fits totally within the footprint that Conference USA is at. And if you remember from last time, they explained when they were focused on their new schools that they wanted to have a little bit of extra time, but they also wanted to have some institutions that were close to each other. That was part of the reason actually Middle Tennessee State decided to stay in the conference. And thinking about that footprint, it looks a little bit like they're trying to play sort of the same game that the Sun Belt was playing, right? They're trying to get more regional, like-minded institutions together. So let's take a look at how Kennesaw State might fit into Conference USA. If we look at the current school profiles, I think it actually fits really well, and you can kind of tell exactly what their strategy might be, right? So we have the current school profiles. They're pretty similar, especially places like UTEP and MTSU, about the same size. They're typically just outside of big markets. So like Murfreesboro is not really considered Nashville, but it's just outside Nashville. UTEP is kind of its own market. FIU's in Miami. Ruston's a little bit out kind of on its own, but it's been there. It's a legacy team. And then Western Kentucky, it's been there for a while, and they're basically rivals to MTSU. But if you look at the stadium sizes and where the school sizes are at, Kennesaw State fits really well into the profile. And if you look at the incoming schools, right, it basically matches what they're doing there, right? Kennesaw State matches almost exactly what Sam Houston State is as far as the school size and endowment. It's funny, remember we talked about earlier, Sam Houston State really has some development to do for them to really qualify for Sam Houston State. And so does Kennesaw State. We'll see the breakdown in the numbers there. They're coming up from FCS. They've had pretty good success there. They're a pretty young program. I think they've only been playing about 5-6 years, but they've had sustained success at the FCS level already. The curious part is that their attendance is still only about 7,000 people. I don't know how they think they're going to get up to that 15,000 average, although we found out that it really only has to be tickets. It doesn't have to be people in the stands, right? And they've got that battle of the border with Jacksonville State, so that fits. The stadium capacity really needs to up itself here. You can see their stadium. It's in the middle of these images here. It's actually a cool looking stadium. It's a lot like Charlotte. Charlotte has about 15,000, I think, but it's got that single tier of seats. I'm pretty sure they can easily put on a second deck and really make the capacity big enough. Kennesaw State is in the Atlanta market. It's considered in the Atlanta market, but it's outside, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes outside of Atlanta. In fact, I think it's closer to the Atlanta Braves Stadium than Atlanta is proper. It's actually got a huge student body, 41,000. So the TV market's big, but it's just kind of outside. It's not necessarily the marquee. I'm sure most people in Atlanta are like watching Georgia Tech and that stuff. College Football Hall of Fame, or not Hall of Fame, the museum is in Atlanta. So a lot of college football there. So let's see what the trickle-down effect of that is. Now this is interesting because Kennesaw State will be coming from the ASUN, who just established a football league, and I think they have about 6 members, but given all the movement now, that would take them down to 4. Right now, the ASUN has an agreement with the football teams of the WAC to kind of band together so that they have an automatic qualifier for the FCS championship. So if you take Kennesaw State out of that WAC ASUN football agreement, then you're left with just The 4 teams in the East here: Central Arkansas, North Alabama, Austin Peay, and Eastern Kentucky, which, by the way, I think 3 of those 4 are really good contenders for wanting to step up to the FBS level as well. It keeps the WAC still kind of in this nice, they still have their ability to automatic qualify. I think UTRGV down there is starting football in 25, so they're pretty safe, but it still affects the WAC football conference a little bit. WAC ASUN. So that brings Conference USA to 10 members, and that's a pretty good round number. But if they wanted to add 2, looking at the landscape of possible invites, you can kind of see what their strategy is. I would say it looks like they're trying to stay regional within that footprint, trying to match the school levels and investment that the other schools have and the sizes. Of all the previous schools that maybe we thought would be a good fit, I think you got to look at basically anything in the ASUN that wants to move up, and then maybe some of the HBCUs around that fit within the footprint. I would say, as a tier 1 speculation, if they wanted to go to 12, it sounds to me like 10 would be perfect for that conference. If you get any much bigger, you just end up splitting kind of a lower pot of money. They got to kind of rely on that game day experience to kind of keep driving and keeping people invested. If they were going to add 2 more, your tier 1 invites would be somebody like Chattanooga, which fits squarely inside that footprint. Eastern Kentucky, which was kind of a rival for Western Kentucky a long time. McNeese State, which is right there in Louisiana, would be a great travel partner for both the Texas schools and Louisiana Tech. Central Arkansas is not far off, and Austin Peay is right in the middle. Actually, it's funny, I think Austin Peay is in Clarksville, Tennessee, I think, which is right in the middle of Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky, so that would fit right in the middle there. And of course, North Carolina A&T is just south of Lynchburg, which is where Liberty is. And then, of course, my tier 2 selections might be other schools kind of just outside that, FCS schools that are actually pretty good, have good, strong fan bases. I still think it'd be really fun and interesting to have some of those HBCUs like Bethune-Cookman, A&M, Florida A&M, or JSU get in the mix there. That would help the Florida contingency with the travel and the Florida FIU. And then I put the long shots would be like places like Delaware, who have a great storied history of good football, FCS football, and Youngstown State, which aren't too far away from places like Liberty or Western Kentucky, but maybe at this point, to stay within the footprint, maybe they're kind of long shots. In any case, I still am an optimist in this. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are feeling like the Conference USA is still kind of depleted and shouldn't be playing FBS football, but I think they did a good job of rounding it out. So the future 2024, if all rumors prove true, might actually be kind of a fun little league to watch. Obviously, they're not getting the same kind of money as the big boys, and their strategy has to be a little bit different, but we'll see how things play out. Once again, would love your comments. I'd actually love to hear if anybody's from the Kennesaw State area, a little bit about the school, a little bit about whether or not you think FBS football is for them, and if they can handle the investment that they're going to need to do to step up to the league. So keep the comments coming, and let's see how this all plays out for the future.